In the heart of an ancient university, there was a library known as much for its majestic architecture as for its chilling tales whispered in hushed tones among the students. This library, with its towering shelves filled with age-old books and manuscripts, was said to be haunted, especially as midnight approached. But Sarah, a third-year history major, had always shrugged off these tales as mere campus lore. That night, however, she was about to discover the truth for herself. The night was unusually quiet as Sarah settled into a secluded corner of the library, surrounded by stacks of books on ancient civilizations. The only sound was the gentle ticking of an old clock, marking time as it inched closer to midnight. Sarah was engrossed in her research, the soft glow of the desk lamp casting shadows across the page. As the clock struck midnight, a sudden stillness filled the air, a quiet so profound it seemed as if the world outside had vanished. Then, almost imperceptibly, a book tumbled from a shelf behind her, landing open on the floor. Sarah turned, startled by the disturbance. Expecting to see a fellow student, she instead found herself alone. Curiosity piqued, she approached the fallen book. It was an old tome, its pages yellowed with age, filled with strange symbols and texts in languages long forgotten. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she flipped through the pages. The air around her grew colder, and she could hear soft whispers echoing through the rows of bookshelves. It was as if the shadows themselves were speaking to her. She looked around, her heart racing, but saw no one. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. A sense of unease washed over Sarah, a feeling of being watched, of being not alone. She tried to dismiss the fear creeping into her mind, attributing it to the late hour and her tiredness. But then, she saw a shadowy figure standing at the end of the row, barely visible among the stacks. Its eyes, two glowing orbs, fixed on her with an intensity that rooted her to the spot. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The figure seemed to flicker and shift, like smoke caught in a gentle breeze. She blinked, and in that moment it vanished. The whispers stopped abruptly, leaving behind a deafening silence. Shaken, Sarah gathered her things, her previous fascination replaced with an urgent need to leave. As she hurried towards the exit, the lights flickered and dimmed, casting long, dancing shadows across her path. The air felt charged, electric, as if a storm were brewing within the walls of the library itself. Sarah broke into a run, her footsteps echoing loudly in the empty library. She emerged into the cool night air, the moon casting a pale light over the campus. Glancing back, the library stood silent and imposing, its secrets hidden once more behind stone walls and ancient books. Sarah knew she had experienced something unexplainable, a true encounter with the unknown. She would later learn that the library was built upon the ruins of an old monastery, its past filled with tales of forbidden knowledge and mysterious disappearances. But Sarah didn't need to read about these tales. She had lived one. And though she would continue her studies and eventually graduate with honors, Sarah never again set foot in the library at midnight. The experience had left her with a deep, unshakable belief in the mysteries that lay just beyond the veil of the known world, mysteries that sometimes reach out in the quiet, dark corners of our lives. In the days that followed, Sarah tried to make sense of what had happened. She researched the history of the library, digging through old archives and records. She discovered stories of a monk who once lived on the grounds, a keeper of forbidden knowledge who was said to have made a pact with dark forces in exchange for eternal life. According to legend, his spirit was bound to the library, guarding its secrets and occasionally revealing itself to those who, like Sarah, found themselves alone in the library at midnight. Sarah shared her story with a few close friends, some of whom admitted to having felt an inexplicable unease in the library, though none had encountered the shadowy figure. As the story spread, it became a new addition to the tapestry of myths surrounding the old university. Years later, long after Sarah's graduation, her experience in the library became a well-known legend among the students. They would dare each other to spend a night in the library, to witness the mysterious phenomena for themselves. But for Sarah, it was more than just a story. It was a reminder of the night she came face to face with something truly inexplicable, a night that changed her understanding of the world. And so the library stands, a silent witness to the centuries, its secrets preserved among the dusty shelves and ancient books. To some, it is just an old building, a place of study and reflection. But to those who have felt the touch of the unknown, it is a place where the veil between worlds is thin, and the past whispers just beneath the surface of the present. Sarah's encounter in the library remained with her, a haunting memory of the night she discovered that some legends are rooted in truth, and some horrors are all too real. On a sprawling college campus known for its vibrant student life and historic buildings, there was one dormitory that stood apart from the rest. Hargrove Hall, with its ivy-covered facade and towering spires, had been home to generations of students. But within its walls, whispered rumors told of a room that was sealed off, a room where time stood still, and a tragic event from the past lingered in the present. Alex, a curious and intrepid journalism major, had always been fascinated by the stories surrounding Hargrove Hall. When he was assigned a room in Hargrove for his sophomore year, he seized the opportunity to delve deeper into its mysteries. His interest was particularly piqued by the tale of room 313, which was rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a former student who tragically passed away under mysterious circumstances decades ago. Armed with a digital recorder and a healthy dose of skepticism, Alex decided to investigate room 313 one October night. The hallway was silent as he approached the door, marked only by a faded number plaque and a thick layer of dust. The lock gave way with surprising ease, as if inviting him inside. The room was untouched by time, preserved exactly as it had been left years ago. A chill ran through the air, and Alex could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him. He began to record, asking questions into the thin air, half expecting to hear responses from the creaking of the old building or the whistling of the wind through cracked windows. As the night deepened, Alex reviewed the audio recordings, listening intently through headphones. At first, there was nothing but the ambient noise of the building. But then, a voice, faint but unmistakably clear, whispered his name. Alex startled. He ripped off the headphones, the silence of the room now suffocating. He decided to ask one more question, this time directing his voice towards the empty room. What happened to you? The air grew colder, a palpable presence filling the space. The digital recorder picked up a response, a voice filled with sorrow and longing. I never left. As Alex pondered the voice's words, the temperature in the room dropped sharply, his breath visible in the air. A stack of papers on the desk stirred as if touched by an unseen hand, and a photo fell to the floor. It depicted a young man, his features eerily similar to the stories Alex had heard about the student who once lived there. Suddenly, the door slammed shut with a force that shook the walls. Alex, heart racing, realized he was not alone. The room felt alive with the energy of the past, the tragedy of room 313 unfolding around him. The ghost, it seemed, was reaching out, trapped in a moment of despair and seeking closure. Gathering his courage, Alex spoke into the recorder, offering words of comfort, acknowledging the ghost's presence and its pain. As he spoke, the chill began to dissipate, the oppressive atmosphere lifting. The door swung open as if released from an unseen grip, revealing the quiet, empty hallway beyond. Alex left room 313 with more questions than answers. But one thing was clear: the ghost of Hargrove Hall was real, a soul caught between worlds. His recordings, a tangible link to the supernatural, would fuel campus legend for years to come. As for Alex, the experience changed him. He continued to seek out the stories hidden in the shadows of the world, but he never forgot the night he spent in room 313, where he encountered the lingering echo of a life cut tragically short. Room 313 remained sealed, a silent testament to the mystery and the truth that Alex had uncovered within its walls. Beneath the serene surface of a prestigious university known for its academic excellence and lush, expansive campus, there lurked a darker history that few were brave enough to explore. Deep within the bowels of the oldest building on campus, the Science Hall, there existed a laboratory that had been abandoned for decades. Legend had it that a series of unethical experiments were conducted there, until a tragic accident forced its closure. Elena, a biochemistry major with a boundless curiosity and a fearless spirit, had always been intrigued by the tales of the old lab. Her fascination led her to delve into the university archives, where she unearthed old newspaper clippings and journal entries detailing the experiments that once took place. Driven by a desire to see the lab for herself, Elena decided to venture into the forbidden space one fateful night. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, Elena made her way to the Science Hall after hours. The building was eerily quiet, the only sounds her own footsteps echoing off the stone walls and the distant hum of the night. She found the entrance to the lab hidden behind a heavy metal door that creaked ominously as she pushed it open. Inside, the lab was as if frozen in time, glassware and old equipment strewn about, covered in layers of dust. The air was thick with a palpable sense of unease, as if the very walls harbored the memories of the past. Elena began to explore, her flashlight casting long shadows that seemed to dance and twist around her. As she delved deeper into the lab, Elena stumbled upon a series of cages, their bars rusted and bent. Inside one, she found a stack of journals, the pages yellowed and brittle with age. She flipped through them, discovering detailed accounts of the experiments that had been conducted, experiments that blurred the lines between science and something far darker. Elena's heart raced as she read on, the scientist's words painting a picture of obsession and madness. It was then that she heard a faint whispering that seemed to emanate from the shadows themselves. She paused, straining to listen, but the sound was gone as quickly as it had appeared. Determined to learn more, Elena pressed on, her sense of unease growing with every step. Suddenly, a cold gust of air swept through the lab, extinguishing her flashlight and plunging her into darkness. Panic set in as she fumbled with the device, but it refused to come back on. In the pitch black, the whispering returned, louder now, a chorus of voices that filled the lab with an indescribable sorrow. Elena could feel something brush against her, a presence that was both chilling and suffocating. She realized then that she was not alone, that the spirits of those affected by the experiments still lingered, bound to the place of their suffering. With a surge of adrenaline, Elena found her way to the door, stumbling out into the safety of the hallway, the lab's door slamming shut behind her with a force that echoed down the empty corridors. Breathless and shaken, Alina never returned to the lab, but her experience left her with an unshakable belief in the unseen forces that dwell in the forgotten corners of our world. She shared her story with a select few, her account adding another layer to the legend of the science hall's abandoned lab. And though the university continued to thrive, a shadow hung over the old science hall, a reminder of the past that whispered in the dark, waiting for the next curious soul to uncover its secrets.